Rhythm and metre in 20th century music. So this is a list of terms which I want you to be able to understand and use in your composition. So the first bit of text says, read through the following pre-highlighted text and into a Word file type the definition for each of the following rhythmic concepts. Also snip a short musical example. So I'm just going to read them out, but you should be able to use read and write to read some of this text. So the first one's asymmetric metre, then composite metre, then mixed metre, then displaced accent, polyrhythm, polymetre, metric modulation, less important, added value, also possibly less important, and non-retrogradable rhythms. Okay, I'm just going to read this out. Mainly, I'm going to just stick to the highlighted sections because some of this is a little bit beyond senior music. So the first highlighted section says, the mainstream of earlier 20th century compositions saw significant innovations in the areas of rhythm and metre, procedures that impart a distinctive 20th century flavour to the music. And the first interesting rhythmic concept is asymmetric metre, such as 5/4 or 7/8. So you'll notice that the top number is an odd number. Or another similar to that is composite metre, where the top number is actually a little sum, 3 plus 3 plus 2. These are used to provide what we might describe as a regular irregularity, in that the groupings in a 5/4 piece are likely to occur consistently as either 2 then 3 or 3 then 2. So on the next example you'll see this in action. There's a 5/8 time signature, and you can see the quavers are organised in groups of 2 and 3, and in the next bar there's 3 and then 2. So this would sound like da 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 da. Yeah, so it's the groupings of the quavers that make the time signature sound a certain way. The next concept is mixed metre, and this example on the top of the page also has this, where the time signature is changing regularly. So that's mixed metre, it's very simple. The next concept is displaced accent, where the normal accent is changing within the bar. So here's an example at the bottom of the page. It's a simple 3/4, where the metric accent would normally be on the first beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But this composer has accented the second beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it displaces or changes where the accent would normally be. The next concept is polyrhythm, where there are, in a given piece, 2 or more contrasting rhythmic streams. So one whole section of the piece, perhaps in this case the flute line on the top, seems to be in regular 2/4 groupings, even though it doesn't look like that visually when you hear it. Da 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 dee dee da, dee dee da dee da dee da, ya dee da dee da dee da. It's very sort of rhythmically regular, whereas the underlying string part has long notes that change usually off the beat. So this polyrhythm can be more or less complex. Sometimes polymetre is confused with polyrhythm. That's where one whole line is, say, in 3/4 and another line below it is in 2/4. So polymetre is the notation of 2 or more metres at once. Sibelius can't do this, unfortunately. This next one's metric modulation. I think I might leave that one. This one is added value. This is a bit weird, where you just add a tiny little extra bit of rhythm. So here's an example, T T T T T T ta, and here's T T T T T T T T ta. They've added one little bit of extra rhythm. That's not as important. And then this one's quite cute, non-retrogradable rhythms. So they're the same whether played backwards or forwards. They're rhythmic palindromes. T T ta, T T would sound the same both ways, yeah? Whether you started forwards or backwards. So they're the basic ones, and then there's this self-text down the bottom, which you might be able to do if you can read the questions with Read and Write Gold. So hopefully that will be good enough to give you a bit of an introduction to this handout. Okay, good luck with that.